So let's take a look at number 3. What's the first thing we need to do here?
You need to put it to 0. Yeah, you make it equal to 0.
What do we make equal to 0?
X equals 0. X minus 5 and x plus,
So we put all 3 parts equal to 0. So we have x is equal to 0, x minus 5 is equal to 0, and x plus 1 is equal to 0. Do we have to do anything for x is equal to 0?
No, because x is equal to 0.
Alright, so that's our first 0. What about the next one? What do we need to do? Add 5 to both sides. So what do we get for x? And then what about the last one? Okay, so we got our zeros. Now what do we need to do? Graph. Where are points going to go on the graph?
Oh, x is on the x line, so you need to point 5 and -1.
Just 5 and -1?
And 0.
And 0. Okay, so now we count our x's. So how many x's do we have here? We have 3 x's. Are any of those x's up here, do any of them have a negative sign in front of it? No. So we start by going down and we're going to end going up since it's positive. And now we just need to put a line through all of our other points. So our graph will look like that. Ready for the next one? Let's look at number 4. What do we do first? Separate. So we have 2 separate equations here. What are those equations going to be?
X and x minus 3.
So x is equal to 0 and x minus 3 is equal to 0. So we put both of these equal to 0. In the second equation, x minus 3 is equal to 0. We add 3 to both sides. And what do we get for x? X is equal to 3. So our 2 points are x is equal to 0 and x is equal to 3. So now we need to graph. Where are points going to be on our graph? 0 and 3. How many x's do we have up here in our original equation? Do any of them have a negative sign in front of it in our equation? No. So we have a positive x squared graph. So what's our end behavior of the graph going to be? And it's going to start doing what? So it's going to end going up. How's it going to start? Up. So our graph will look like that. Any questions on this one? Okay, let's go to number 5. What do we do here? So x is equal to 0. So in our second equation, we have x is equal to, and in our last one, x is equal to. And now we need to graph it. So where are points going to go in our graph? 0, -3, and 2. Now looking at our graph, how many x's do we have? Do any of the x's have a negative sign in front? No. So how's our graph going to end? And how's it going to start? Down. So since it's odd, they go in opposite directions. And then what do we do with the points in the middle? Just put a line through them. We connect the dots. Then it would start going up and end going down. Ready for the next one? Let's go to number 6. What do we do first? Amanda, what do we do first? What did you do first in the homework? So we need to set up our equations. So we get x is equal to 0, x is equal to 4, and x is equal to -1. Amanda, what do we do next? We graph it. So we need to make our graph. What are our points on our graph going to be? 0, 4, and -1. Now looking at our original equation, how many x's do we have? We have 3. Do any of them have a negative sign in front? In here, looking at the x's, are any of these x's negative? No. So we have a positive x cubed graph. So how's our graph going to end? Up. And how's it going to start? Down. And now we just need to go through and connect our dots. Because it's odd, so they're going to go in opposite directions. So if it's positive, it's always going to end going up. But if it's odd, it has to start and going in the opposite direction. All right, 2 more. Number 7. Curvins, what do we do first? Separate it. So we have 3 separate parts. What do we do with each part? Turn it into equation. So we have x is equal to, just looking at the first part here, what's x equal to? 0. What about our second one? X plus 8 is equal to? 0. We set them all equal to 0. X minus 1 is equal to 0. So x is equal to -8, and x is equal to? If we add 1 to both sides, 1. So now in our graph, what are our points going to be on our graph? What are they going to be? Angela, what are our points going to be on our graph? 1, -8, and 0. Perfect. So, how many x's do we have? 3. Are any of these x's in our equation negative? No. So we have a positive x cubed. So how is this graph going to end? How's it going to end, like, on the right side? Going up. So then how does it have to start? Down. And then what do we do? Connect the dots in the middle. All right, last one. Number 8. Miguel, what do we do first?
I'm not sure.
What did you do first in the homework?
I didn't do that.
Kai, what do we do first? Kai, what do we do first? Separate it. X equals 0. X minus 5 is equal to 0. And perfect. So now solving our second equation, Miguel, what do we get when we solve our second one? So we're looking here.
Can we solve the second one?
Mm-hmm.
X equals 0.
So we add 5 to both sides. It cancels out here.
X equals 1.
What's 0 plus 5?
5.
5. So x is equal to
1. 5.
5. And now in our last one, x is equal to 3. So we add 3 to both sides. Mm-hmm. So now we need to make our graph. What are our points on our graph going to be? Miguel, what are our points on our graph going to be?
Our points of graph are going to be
So 0, 3, and 5. We just take these points here, 0, 3, and 5. Now, how many x's do we have in our original equation? 3. Do any of these x's have a negative sign in front? No. So we have a positive x cubed graph. So how is it going to end? It ends going up. And how does it start? Down. And what do we do with the ones in the middle? Connect the dots. All right, any questions on 5.2 homework?